Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user CarelessDisc685. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend to shut up about her weight problem? My 32 male girlfriend Lana, 32 female, and I have been together for 3 years. Ever since we met, she has been overweight, and over the course of our relationship has gained even more weight. Her weight has never bothered me though. She was beautiful when I first met her, and she still is beautiful today. About 6 months ago, Lana went for a checkup with her doctor, who expressed concern about her weight. He said that she should ideally be looking to lose around 40 pounds to get back to a healthy weight. At first, I offered Lana to help with weight loss, as I had lost about 70 pounds a number of years back before meeting her. I knew what sort of diet and exercise worked for me. She initially declined, saying she wanted to try herself, but after a month of trying, she wasn't able to lose any weight. So she then asked if I could help her. So I found my old fitness tracker watch so she could track exercise. I also sent her my old spreadsheet that I used to track meals so she could get an idea of her calorie intake. We started walking together each day, preparing healthy meals together, and I felt it brought us closer together. After 2 months of this, she had lost 15 pounds, and I was really proud of her. After this though, she started to get back into old habits. She started declining when I asked if she wanted to go for a walk. I noticed she stopped using her watch and was no longer entering her meals into the spreadsheet in the evenings. Even though we still prepped meals together, she started snacking a lot between meals, saying that she felt hungry. I asked a few times how things were going, and she said that she didn't want to use the spreadsheet anymore because she knew what she was doing and it was my way of controlling what she ate. I took a bit of offense to this, as I had given her the spreadsheet on her own laptop so she could help herself, and it had been working. Also, I don't have access to her laptop and I never asked to see it, nor did I ever put her down for what she ate. Before long, she was back at her previous weight, then even put on an additional 10 pounds. She started to complain about it constantly and shut down any effort I made to help her. Again, because I was trying to control her. She even commented to my friends at a dinner that I was trying to stop her from eating all the things she loves, which was not true at all. After that comment, I decided to just stop trying. Every day, the complaints kept going. There was always some old item of clothing that no longer fit her. She complained about needing to buy new clothes. She'd always point at her stomach and say, "Oh, look how fat I'm getting." She'd complained that she didn't feel beautiful. She'd say she couldn't walk small distances because she was out of breath because she's too fat to walk. She'd complain that she felt sick because she ate too much. She'd complain about not wanting to swim in public because she was embarrassed of her body. On and on and on she went. Yesterday, we were getting dressed to go to my parents' house for dinner. She pulled out a shirt I bought her a few months prior and said, "Oh, I bet this won't fit me." She then tried it on and said, "Yeah, see, I'm too fat for this now. Look how big my stomach is. People will judge me, blah, blah, blah." I just lost it and said to her, "Will you shut up about your effing stomach? I don't want to hear another word about how fat you are until you actually try to do something about it." She burst into tears. Not saying anything to me, she grabbed another shirt, then ran out of the house and drove off in my car. I didn't know where she went or when she'd be back, but I didn't care. I was sick of hearing about it. Since we only have the one car, I called my parents and let them know we wouldn't make it to dinner. I stayed home and ordered a pizza. About an hour later, I got a call from my mom saying that Lana had showed up in tears and told her about what I said. My mom said I knew she was sensitive about her weight and demanded that I apologize to her. I firmly said that I wouldn't be apologizing, but if she wants to talk, she can come home and talk. My dad also called, again saying that I was a jerk and needed to apologize, but I stood my ground. As far as I know, Lana stayed at my parents' last night. She hasn't contacted me. I haven't attempted to contact her and don't intend to until she comes back home. Even now, a day later, I don't regret what I said and don't think I was in the wrong, though my parents taking her side is making me second guess a little. Am I the a-hole? Well, OP, overall in general, no, I don't think you're the a-hole. I also have very little patience for people who play the victim card all the time or the oh whoa it's me card all the time and refuse to do anything about it. Could you have chosen other words to say the same thing? Sure, but I also understand the frustration after days and days of just complaints and nothing else. Now, your parents getting involved, I kind of get the feeling that your girlfriend didn't tell them the whole story. Because you didn't say anything about your weight. You said something about her complaining about it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Bookworm 1960 says, not the a-hole. When someone refuses to take action, blame others, but constantly complains as your girlfriend is doing, she deserves a harsh truth. I would bet she did not tell your parents everything that has gone on. Ask them specifically what she told them. Without the background behind your statement, it would look bad to them. And OP responds, turns out she told my parents that I said to her she was too fat and that she's been trying really hard, but I'm not doing anything to help her at all. If she is currently trying, that's news to me. And sure, I'm not helping her at the moment, but that's because when I do try, I'm controlling and she shuts me down. And even after I told my parents what I actually said, they still think I'm an a-hole. She-Devil1818 says, I'm a nuclear kind of person, but I would leave the F out of this little manipulator. The fact that she is making you seem controlling for trying to help with something she wanted, needed, and asked for help with aside. Just the stunt she pulled with your parents would be more than enough for me to leave forever. If you have kids one day, I can just imagine her running to your folks over any disagreement to push her own agenda. I'm not one of those people who has a knee-jerk reaction to tell someone to leave, but she is a walking red flag. Edited to say, obviously not the a-hole. And Orchid Glimmer says, not the a-hole, but Lana is an enormous a-hole. You've done everything to help her, support her, encourage her. And instead of thanking you for your support, she makes you out to be some kind of control freak. She then has the audacity to lie to your parents. This is, in my opinion, unforgivable. And Opie responds, yeah, the lying part is really getting to me. Unless she took the, I don't want to hear another word about how fat you are as me saying you're too fat, but that's not at all how I meant it. And I think she's just put her own twist on it for sympathy. The community agrees that OP was not the a-hole and that Lana was the huge a-hole here for particularly lying to OP's parents and giving her own twist to the story. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. As mentioned in my comments, Lana had lied to my parents, saying that I said she was too fat and that she had been trying hard to lose weight, but that I was refusing to do anything to help her. All of that was of course untrue. After reading all the comments, thanks for all the advice, I decided that I wouldn't be apologizing for what I said, but I was willing to discuss the issue with her instead of immediately breaking up like some suggested. Even though I know she really crossed a line by lying to my parents. I think some people were under the impression that I screamed at her. This wasn't the case. I did snap, but when I said what I did, I barely raised my voice. If I had screamed at her, I would apologize. So, it got to yesterday evening and Lana had still not returned home. Realizing that I actually needed my car the following morning, I got my friend Mark to drive me to my parents' house. I called Lana 3 times, but she didn't answer. I sent her a text saying that I wanted to talk and that I'd come by my parents' place soon. Turns out this was a mistake. When we arrived, my car was nowhere to be seen and my mom said that Lana had left about 10 minutes ago. I called twice again and no answer. I was in the middle of texting her that if she didn't return my car, I'd be calling the police when I got a notification from my doorbell camera. She was back at home and my car was back in the driveway. All was good, or so I thought. Mark drove me back home, but when I tried to get back inside, Lana had put on the inner latch of the door, so I was locked out. After a few minutes of calling out to her to let me in, all I heard from her was, "F off!" Now I was done. There would be no calm conversation. We were done. Thankfully, I was able to climb over the back fence. I didn't think I'd make it in the shape I'm in, and get in through the back door. If the back door hadn't been unlocked, I don't know how long she would have locked me out. I don't carry the key for the back door when I go out. Once inside, I'd told her that she had until that evening to get out. At the time, she didn't even protest. She just packed a bag and a friend picked her up an hour later. This morning, she has tried calling multiple times. She's now messaging that she's sorry and wants to talk, but I'm not interested. I messaged her that I've packed all her stuff and she can get a friend to come and get it, or I'll put it outside for her to pick up. But she won't be getting in my house again. I've got a financial agreement in place with her, so she's got no claim on the house or any of my property. So this should be the end of it. I'm also going to start telling people the correct narrative now, since I've already had some mutual friends messaging me and calling me an a-hole since we broke up. I should have seen this and acted sooner. My parents have just said that they're sorry to hear about the breakup, but haven't made any mention of the position they took last night or what they said to me. I'll speak to my parents again after a few days when I've had time to properly cool off, then see what they have to say. I think she was able to manipulate them because up until now she seemed to be so reliable. It was out of character for her. But still, I'm their son and have always been reliable, so she must have put on quite the performance. Now I'll be staying home until I can get the locks changed. Anyway, thanks for the advice. Well, OP, good for you for standing your ground and not allowing yourself to get dragged back in. After 3 years, you can now see her for what she is, a manipulative person, so you're better off without her. So here's wishing you the best in the future, OP. Take care and thanks for sharing. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user MotherAd1658. Am I the a-hole for refusing to cook my boyfriend dinner? Okay, so here's the deal. I, 26 female, have been with my boyfriend, 28 male, for about 2 years. We live together and I'm the one who usually cooks because I enjoy it, and honestly, I'm just better at it. He can boil water sometimes, lol. Anyway, last night he came home from work and immediately plopped himself on the couch. I asked him how his day was and he just grunted at me like I'm his roommate or something. Whatever, I let it slide. Then around 7 p.m. he's like, "What's for dinner?" And I told him I hadn't started cooking yet because I'd been busy cleaning the house and doing laundry. He kinda scoffed and said, "Well, I've been working all day. Can't you just throw something together?" And that just rubbed me the wrong way. Like, yes, you work a 9 to 5, but I work too, freelance, so at home, and I also handle 99% of the housework. I told him he could figure out dinner himself, and he got all pouty, saying he was too tired and didn't know what to make. I suggested ordering takeout, but he said he didn't want to spend the money. Long story short, I stood my ground and didn't cook. He ended up eating cereal and was super passive-aggressive the rest of the night, slamming cupboards and sighing dramatically. This morning, he made a snide comment like, "Guess I know where I stand now." And now I'm wondering if I was too harsh. Like, I get that he's tired, but so am I? I feel like a jerk, but also I'm not his personal chef. Am I the a-hole? No, OP, you're not the a-hole for not cooking for him. He's a grown man, he can learn how to cook. And if he can only boil water, well then he can do ramen or soup or something like that. Or, even though he is tired, he could help you out with the cleaning to free some time for you to actually dedicate to cooking. That is something that you like. But you having your job, even though it's a freelance and you work from home, also doing 99% of the housework and also having to do dinner, yeah, that's not right. So if I was you, I'd have a serious conversation with your boyfriend about contributing to your home more than just a paycheck. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Yeehaw Mima says, I always think when people complain about a partner not taking care of them, especially with life chores, what would you do if you were single, lost your spouse or your girlfriend? Would you come home from work and just sit and starve? Would you fuss out loud that you were too tired to do laundry but had nothing to wear? Get pissed because there is no beer in the fridge? Only moms and dads have to take care of babies. No one else on this planet owes you a home-cooked meal on demand. Not the a-hole. Caspian 4136 says, it sounds like he had a long day at work and was exhausted once he got home. That's not an excuse for him acting like a baby about everything though. Sounds like it's time to have a discussion about fairly splitting who does what. Not a rigid schedule or anything, but just that you shouldn't be expected to cook dinner every single night because you work too. That lately you feel the bulk of everything is on your back just because he's been working all day, because you haven't? People seem to think that someone who works at home lounges on the couch all day binge watching Netflix. They don't. And Opie responds, I've tried to discuss splitting the chores more, but he says he works so hard he probably couldn't do them right. I don't think he sees my job as that hard because I don't work in an office like he does or make as much money. Pixie Ann says, everybody sucks here. Mostly your boyfriend is the a-hole for his laziness, selfishness, and rudeness. However, you have been complicit in this situation developing, so you get a very small A. Are you his maid, his mother, his cook and servant? Stop that crap immediately and start working towards an equal partnership. If you can't, then just leave. And Opie responds, thanks for your perspective. I think I definitely should have pushed him harder to split the chores with me, but I didn't want to seem like a gold digger. He works a more respectable job than me and definitely brings in more money. And Perfect Ring 3489 says, not the a-hole. He was patronizing. It would be a red flag for me with his attitude. I'd be rethinking the whole thing. And Opie responds, now that I think about it more, there have been times where he has put down my job compared to his. Like one time, he was stressed out because of a deadline coming up and said that he wished he had my job sometimes because it must be so easy just hanging out at home and getting a paycheck. So the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and that she either has to have a serious conversation with her boyfriend or just leave. So now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Hi everyone, I wanted to give you an update after reading all the comments. Thank you to everyone who gave advice, even the tough love. After reading all your comments and really thinking about it, I decided I needed to have a serious talk with my boyfriend about how I've been feeling. I told him I was overwhelmed from doing almost all the cooking and housework on top of my freelance work and that it wasn't fair for me to carry the bulk of everything just because I work from home. He didn't take it well. He got defensive and said things like, "You're making a big deal out of nothing," and "I work harder, so it makes sense you'd handle the rest." That really hurt because it made me realize he doesn't respect the work I do, whether it's my job or taking care of our apartment. I tried explaining that I didn't mind helping more, but that I wasn't willing to keep doing everything. Instead of meeting me halfway, he doubled down, saying he shouldn't have to change anything because he's the one who pays more of the bills. That was the final straw for me. I realized I deserved a partner who sees us as equals and who's willing to put in the effort to make things fair. So I ended things. It was a hard decision, but I'm trying to remind myself that short-term pain is better than being in a long-term relationship like that. It's been hard because 2 years is a long time, but I already feel lighter knowing I'm no longer stuck in a relationship where my contributions aren't valued. He didn't cry or beg, but there was a lot of back and forth about how he thought I was being too harsh and how he didn't realize I felt this way. It was frustrating because I've brought it up before, but I think he thought I'd never actually leave. I'm still at the apartment until I can move out, and he's basically been ignoring me. Thank you to everyone who gave me the push I needed to stand up for myself. I'm sad, but I know this was the right choice for me. Well, it'll be good for you. I do think this is the right decision. Just try to find a place to go in the meantime so you don't get sucked back in. So here's wishing you the best in the future, OP. Take care and thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it.
Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.